here's got this all painted up. I painted this gloss black whenever I painted the interior. And here's the new bearing. So this will just go in here. I don't have a bearing tool, but I've got an idea. Hopefully it'll work. My idea is I'll take this large socket, it's a 36 millimeter, flipped it inside out, and it's given me a nice solid surface. Hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, we'll go know it first. Just to make sure that it's fully seated. This off and just run. And there it is. Worked perfect. Brand new bearing. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to install this portion in the truck, and then I'll start assembling it while it's in the truck. I don't know if that's a bad idea or not, but that's what I'm going to try. And of course the sun's going to give me awful lighting right here. New rubber gasket from National Parts Depot, and the way this goes in is this will go in this direction, so the holes kind of tapers down, so that when this is angled up, that this part is perpendicular to the ground. Pretty simple. I'll get this on. I'm going to lube this up with some alcohol real quick. And so got it lubed up with, just spray some isopropyl on it. That lets me slide it up, down, left, right, wherever I want. And it's just a matter of figuring out where it goes. So I made a mistake. The metal sleeve, the metal plate goes on first, and then the rubber sleeve goes on. So metal plate and then the sleeve. I'll stick it through here. This little hood is not painted yet. I will paint that whenever I do the ashtray and the glove box. But for proper spacing, I'm going to go ahead and put it on. So for the time being, I've reinstalled the steering column. I've just put that there, and all it is a shell. All the components go inside of it. I don't know if that's a mistake to install it yet or not. I haven't screwed that plate in. There's some self-tapping screws. I need to find them. They're around here somewhere. And see about getting this collar together. For now, here's the collar. And there's a bearing. This is the upper bearing that's in here, and I've taken this all down. I sanded it and I painted it. It's pretty. This bearing actually in good shape, and so I'm not gonna, even though I bought a replacement bearing, I'm not gonna replace it. I don't see the point in replacing it because there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and, there's a small little plate, I'm gonna put that back on and start putting this back together. So I've got a new, I guess it's a gear indicator. Just fits down inside here and then fastens with a couple of screws. It is good as new. and new turn signal switch. If you recall, whenever I pulled this one out, the turn signal lever, this little guy down here, fits into this hole, and all the wires, the bundle of wires, go through this square-shaped hole just above it. And there's a little copper button plunger guy that goes inside of there, and I have that. I'll put that back in when the steering wheel goes on. Okay, and there was this plate. This plate does not come with the new switch, so it's from the old one. I cleaned everything up and degreased it also. Let's see if I can find, I've got 3 screws like this one. See if I can find the third one real quick. Now this is all put together. Okay, so here's the pointer. This is the part that fits inside the shift collar. I had an idea about this, so I'm going to make this look new again too. I've got a new window that shows the gear. I'm going to take some dish soap, little toothbrush right here. I'm just going to scrub it. What I'm thinking about doing is, and why this is all relevant, is model paint. I'm going to take a little bit of white. I was going to paint this black, but it's already, when I cleaned it up, it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and just paint this little white stripe on here. I think that a couple coats of this white stuff will look really good on here. Okay, so there we go. Get that painted. So I think when that goes back in, it'll look brand new. At least, here's all the parts. I've got the shift linkage, my little needle that I repainted. There's a bearing retainer. Here's the new grommet and the plate that goes with that grommet. Here's the collar I put together. It's got the switch in it. I've got the little plunger, it's a copper plunger in there for the horn. I've got that. It's set aside for right now. It's the lower spring. I've got the upper spring. So I want to start getting this all put together. Here's the tube, or the steering shaft. It's the actual part that turns. This is where the rag joint would have connected, and up at the other end is where the steering wheel connected. Down here there's a bearing retainer, and there is a washer, and these are down at the very bottom. I've cleaned all this up. This has still got rust on it, but I'm going to clean this up later on, and you'll see why whenever I get into building the steering bracket that goes from this down. I'll clean that up then. So for right now, I'm going to leave this in place. I'm going to go ahead and grease this up, and I've got just a tub of grease. And if you remember, I've already replaced this bearing. It's a brand new bearing, and it's got grease in it. This is the original bearing. I said that it was in good enough shape to reuse, so I'm planning on reusing it. But I'm going to go ahead and grease that bearing up also. I have to get a nice little coating of grease on it. Set that aside. This is where the shift linkage, or the shift linkage goes, and then there's a spring that goes on top of it. Lubricate all of this. And that sleeve's going to be going inside of here, so I might as well just go ahead and get inside of there too. And the spring will fit over it. Just to make sure I'm not having any problems with any lubrication. Just going to grease all the things. Okay. Set that there. Okay. So the way this works, this is the shift tube. Whenever you turn this, it rotates this, which rotates the shift linkage. The shift linkage can only go in one direction because it's keyed a certain way. So if I flip this thing over, this is the way that it sits upright in the truck. The shift linkage, the body of the shift linkage ends up bending upwards. It'll fit down in here. This portion will feed through. And here's the part that I'm not looking forward to doing. I'm going to feed this through here, and then I'm going to fit this down into the slot. See if you can. So I'm going to feed this tube through, and I'm going to feed this down into the slot, and ultimately what's going to happen is this is going to engage with this right here. And of course there's spring tension on it, which is going to make it really fun. Okay, so here's the key. The key is right here. Okay. Got that in. We'll be back after these messages. Okay, right now I'm struggling. I'm holding the top down. I've got the spring pressure right now. I've got no way to secure it at the bottom. So I'm going to take my shift column. It's got a key in it. That key matches this key. That to slide on there. Okay, there we go. And I don't know if you can see this, but as I'm moving this, the linkage down there is working also. Okay. In the collar here, in the shift collar, there are these square-headed bolts. And these bolts fit down in here. And what I found, the easiest way to do this is if I just take these bolts and or the nut, and I just thread it ever so slightly onto the bolt. And those bolts, as they come through, there's a little ramp in here and they kind of splay out. And as they tighten, they pinch in. And if you look down inside here, there's a couple of notches. Right here on the top and on the bottom, and those notches align with those bolts. Alright, so I got this together. I take the crap out of it. It's under a lot of pressure right now. I'm going to got these two square bolts. I don't have a whole lot of time, but you got these two square bolts. Put these in. They catch into a couple of holes that are on the top and the bottom of the shift column. Get these on. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Need to run these wires through this hole that I managed to cover up with the tape. Wait, no, the hole is inside here. Okay. This is more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. Okay, so there's the steering column put together. I fought that. That was really fun. Wires to run through. New switch, new bearings, it's all greased up. Now I need to run this shaft. I just need to run the shaft through the column now. Okay. I'll take my spring. Oh, first thing, here's my retaining collar. Retaining collar that goes down on top of this. And then my spring goes down in there. And my steering wheel parts. Steering wheel parts will go on. I'm going to throw this nut on there for right now. Hold everything in place so it doesn't fall apart on me. And that's it. Steering wheel's back together. Oh. Turn signal switch. And the turn signal lever. That'll go on. There we go. Now it's back together again. So I just need to set everything up for the steering wheel. Okay, still a little cleanup to do. This collar is adjustable and I had to adjust this. New rubber plate. I still need to clean up these bolts and repaint those, and the strap I need to repaint. This is going to get cut off whenever I build a shaft that goes from the Crown Victoria steering to the original column. And here's the column. New switch in place. The shift lever, it actually locks and drive, which it did not before. And of course there's still wiring. I haven't gotten to any of the wiring yet. That'll be coming up. F600 dash. And this is going to be a tack that'll go in there, and eventually I'll fill these in with some autometer gauges, but for right now I'm going to use what I've got. So that's that. The steering column is completely in. I feel that I was searching for videos on how to install the GT Grant steering wheel. It was a little tricky, not difficult, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do an install video on this separately. I believe that I've gotten a lot of questions on, hey, how, what kind of steering wheel is going to work, this and that. So I think that that might be something good to do. But anyway, there's the steering column. Steering column is brand new. It's all in place. New switch, new everything, new cluster. It goes along with the nice painted dash. Next thing I need to get to is some kind of sound deadening material for the inside here. And then I'll also be working on the rubber seals. As far as the glass, I'm going to be having a professional come out because I'm going to be buying a new windshield. I still have to clean up all of this stuff. And on the roof, You can see there's quite a bit of damage up there. I need to repair all that, but for right now, steering column is in. It looks good, so I'm going to start getting to work on the rest of this interior now.